Good afternoon, Jerusalem Jane coming to you from a very, very hot Israel. We are in the midst of a heat wave, a very, very severe heat wave. We are breaking records every day from the use of electricity. And of course, that is because people are using air conditioning. And you can see I'm having a fan blowing in my head right now because it's so hot. I have an appointment later this afternoon, so I have to go all the way across town. Stay cool, drink water, use your air conditioning, stay in the shade. This heat wave is going to continue all the way until next week. Today is a very special day. 2.4 million children are going back to school, but because of the COVID-19 situation, there are some children who is going to have homeschooling over the computer, and for those going back to school, it's very different. They have to use their mask, and there are capsules of how many students are allowed to be in a certain area. So it's very different times, and but I do want to wish all the best to all the children. You are the future here in Israel, to have a wonderful time, the best that you can when you have to go back to school in these COVID-19 times. With this heat wave, we are literally breaking a record every day with the use of electricity here in Israel. So thumbs up to all the people who are working to provide all of us with this electricity. As you know, Israel made history yesterday with the first Israeli plane flying through airspace over Saudi Arabia, touching down in the Arab Emirates. This is history in the making. Israel have signed a peace deal with the UAE, and that is only the third with an Arab nation after Jordan and Egypt. So this is all super excited. This is something that Benjamin Netanyahu has been working behind the scenes for many years. And there's actually a report saying he was in the UAE 2 years ago. So as he was saying yesterday in a press conference, there's so many things I can't tell you. He has had meetings with numerous Arab countries trying to make corroboration with the one and only Jewish states. Who is angry about this deal? Well, of course, Iran and all of their proxies are not happy about this. The quote-unquote Palestinians feeling betrayed. But the thing about the Palestinians is they are doing nothing to make peace. They are only making demands. Every time peace has been reached out to them, peace deals has been reached out to them, they are always just turning their backs like insulted children. And Jared Kushner was saying yesterday, we can't want more peace than the Palestinians. When the Palestinians are ready to make peace, we are here, but they don't, because they will never recognize the Jewish state. They will never give up their claims to East Jerusalem. And like Netanyahu was saying, and like Kushner was saying, we can't wait for the Palestinians, who is always just making unrealistic demands. So Israel is moving forward. Israel is making deals with Arab countries around the world. And of course, these are Gulf states who is also threatened by Iran. So they know who is the strongest player in the Middle East. Well, that is the Jewish nation. So they are making deals with Israel. And Netanyahu was saying, when he was asked yesterday, are more Arab nations lining up? And he's saying, yeah, I have had talks with more nations that I can't share about up until this minute. So it is very significant. It's a big deal. And they just signed agreements now regarding finances and banking. Soon Israelis will be able to travel to Abu Dhabi for vacations. So it is very exciting. Another thing happening is that almost 400 fires has been raging in the areas around the Gaza border from the terrorists inside the Gaza Strip, who is sending in these balloons with explosive devices. So when they're touching ground here in Israel, they are literally setting this nation on fire, which is another form of terrorism. 400 fires, you can't even imagine, and still firing rockets into Israel when they suits them. So it looks like Israel and the terror organization Hamas has signed some sort of agreements to keep things calm. They have been given, was it $30 million again, from some of the Arab countries into the Gaza Strip. Of course, this is only borrowed time until they decide to do this again. But Israel is not interested in going into a full-blown war into the Gaza Strip, when we also at the same time have tension up north, and several fighters in Syria was killed overnight in an airstrike that has been blamed on Israel. So Israel is always on high alert when it comes to what's going up in north with Syria, with Hezbollah, and Nasrallah, the coward leader of Hezbollah, who has been living underground in the bunkers for years, are threatening Israel, saying, if you kill one of our fighters, we will kill one of your soldiers. So there is still a lot to pray about as Israel is making peace with the UAE, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, Turkey are still coming against Israel. So Israel is still on high alert on many fronts. So there are still many reasons why you need to pray for the Jewish state, why you need to pray for Benjamin Netanyahu, who is standing in the gap for Israel every day. And every time you see a headline, there is a million things going on behind the scenes that we don't know, that we don't hear about. And I do believe we're going to see more Gulf states is going to come out in support for Israel, or making peace agreements with Israel, because, like I said, we have a common enemy, and that is Iran. So just a quick update on things going on regarding Israel. Thank you, all of you wonderful people, for standing in the gap for Israel for such a time as this. We love you and we bless you right here from Jerusalem in the midst of a heat wave. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.